Good morning, student. In last period, we learned the effect of force on the shape of an object. If we apply a force, the shape of an object may change. We discuss various situations and applied a force on this situation and observe that the shape of an object is changed by applying a force on it. Now today we learn the type of force. The force can be classified into two types. First one is a contact force, and the other category of the type of force is non-contact force. So what is contact force and non-contact force? What are the examples of contact force and non-contact force, and how is they act on an object? So contact force is act when two or more objects are in direct physical contact with each other. When two or more objects are in direct physical contact with each other and bring about necessary change is called contact force. So contact force is act when two or more objects are in direct physical contact and bring necessary changes is called contact force. Example of contact force are muscular force, frictional force, and mechanical force. Muscular force means force exerted by the muscles of the body. You know that we learn about the muscles in chapter cell structure and its functions. So muscular force is a force exerted by living organisms. Body of the living organisms on an object is called a muscular force. If a cart is pulled by a bullocks, then the muscles of the bullocks are exerted a force on a cart to pull it from one place to another place. Similarly, many animals which are used to our work easier are exerted a force on an object like a horse. Horse cart is muscles of force is applied a force on a cart. Camel cart, in camel cart the muscles of camel is exerted a force on a cart. Similarly, if we hold something, if I hold a duster with my hand, then I apply a force of my muscles to apply a force on a duster. Therefore, the duster is held by my hand. Similarly, if we move some heavy object or hold a heavy object, the muscles of our body is exerted a force on that object. Therefore, muscular force is the force which is exerted by the muscles of the body and is example of contact force. If we do not contact with the object on which we apply a force, then the force cannot act. Force can act only when we contact the object. Therefore, muscular force is an example of contact force. Frictional force is second example of contact force. The frictional force is the force that opposes the motion of an object. Frictional force is always act on the opposite direction of the moving object. Therefore, the force which retards the motion of an object is called force of friction or frictional force. So, the force that opposes the motion of an object and arises due to contact between two surfaces is always arise between the contact between the two surfaces. It means it is a contact force. It's called a frictional force. So, frictional force is always a contact force because it arises between the two surfaces, and this force is applied. This force is always opposed the motion of a moving object. For example, the tire of vehicle is in contact on the surface of road and is in motion. So the rod applies a force on the surface of tire, which retard or slow down the motion of a tire of vehicle. This is an example of frictional force. Similarly, sole of our chappal or shoes is in contact with the surface of a land, and in that area the frictional force is at between the two surfaces, that is the sole of our shoes and the surface of the earth. This is an example of frictional force. Third, frictional force is a contact force. Third example of contact force is a mechanical force. Mechanical force are act on a spare part of machinery. One spare part of machinery is in motion with a contact of another parts of this machine. So, mechanical force is the force applied by a machine is called a mechanical force, and this force is also an example of contact force. So, contact force example are muscular force, frictional force or force of friction, and mechanical force. Another category of force is classified into non-contact force. Non-contact force means that force which can act on an object from a distance. So, the force which acts on without touching on an object is called a non-contact force. Non-contact force is act from a distance without coming in direct contact with body. Example of non-contact force are magnetic force, electrostatic force, and gravitational force. So, non-contact force is from a distant place without coming in contact. No contact between the two bodies is there. Is called non-contact force. Magnetic force, you learn about different type of magnet, that is bar magnet, horseshoe type magnet, needle shape magnet, oval shape magnet, ring shape magnet, etc. So magnet attract magnetic material from a distant place towards it. So this force is act from a distance without coming in contact with the two body is an example of non-contact force. Therefore, magnetic force is an example of non-contact force. Opposite pole of a two magnet are attracted from a distance placed towards each other is also an example of a non-contact force. This is also a magnetic force. Similarly, the same pole of a two magnet repel each other is also a magnetic force and is an example of a non-contact force. So, magnetic force is an example of non-contact force. Second example of non-contact force is an electrostatic force. Electrostatic force means the force exerted by a charged body on another body is called electrostatic force. Charge means charging by rubbing or charging by friction. If we rub a paper straw on a plastic straw on a paper like this, and then this rubbing straw is charged by this way, and then I come in contact with this another magnet hand, another straw hand, you see that it attracts towards it. This is an example of electrostatic force. So, electrostatic force is the force exerted by a charged body on another body. This straw is charged by rubbing with a paper, and we come in contact brought near to the another straw which is hang on the stand. Then we see that straw attract the another straw. This is example of electrostatic force. Another example of non-contact force is a gravitational force. We see that all object or falling object comes towards the surface of Earth. It means that the Earth attracts all the object towards it is called a gravitational force. So the force with which the Earth attracts all object towards itself is called a gravitational force. If I release this chalk from my hand, it comes towards the earth. This force is also non-contact force because the piece of chalk is not in direct contact with the surface, but though the earth attracts from a distance without in contact with the chalk, so it is an example of non-contact force. So today we learn two types of force, that is contact force and non-contact force. Again we explain three examples each of contact force and non-contact force. Thank you.